just give Controller Wendy Brew another round of applause. She's been amazing. She's been a very strong supporter of making the changes we need to do in the city to become more fiscally responsible. In fact, recently the mayor and the controller issued a memo to all city departments, basically putting extraordinary spending controls in place for the remainder of this fiscal year. That includes travel, that includes spending on just everyday items that departments were used to purchasing. And so she is taking the lead, and we appreciate that. As the controller said, this is one of the many budget days we've had since we began, and in fact I was looking over some prior presentations we've done, and I believe this is the 10th budget day, and the 5th time we're presenting survey results. And you'll see a graph related to those survey results from the prior years shortly. But I want to thank everybody for being here. I know a lot of you are here for, I've been here for those 10 budget days, and some of you are here for the first budget day, and we hope that this is an education for all of you. I'm here to talk mostly about the budget survey itself, the results from the budget survey. A little bit later today, we'll have Miguel Santana, the City Administrative Officer, come here and give you more of an update on our current budget situation. But just focusing on the survey and the community input process. As you know, for the last 5 years, we've initiated this community budget process that has included a survey, that has included these community budget days, and that has also included more intimate sessions with the mayor for budget representatives. And I believe you'll be selecting those budget representatives in your regional breakout sessions today. But this has been a part of what we do as part of the budget development process for as long as we've been there. And this year, what was a little bit different is the budget tool that we ended up using to collect input. This was what we refer to as the Los Angeles Budget Challenge. It was a new tool. Hopefully everybody here actually took the survey using this tool. We felt it was as much of a survey tool as an education tool, because what we were trying to have everybody realize is that we are working with a budget deficit in the order of magnitude of about $400 million. At least that was $400 million was the number we were working with when we first developed this tool. It's now to around $485 million. And we wanted to show people taking this survey was that there's a big gap that we need to reduce to balance the budget. And just for a moment, there's $485 million deficit. If we were to take the general fund appropriation, the entire general fund appropriation, to 24 departments, meaning we would eliminate that appropriation altogether, we would just get to about $483 million. So that was another point we were trying to portray, is that we're not going to be able to cut our way out of this budget deficit we're in. It's going to require both expenditure reductions as well as some revenue items. So just to give you a little bit of I know many of you went on the survey already, but we wanted to, again, use this as an education tool where you could click onto links that will take you directly to some of the websites and some additional information. And the other important aspect was this take action button and the feedback buttons that you saw, where by clicking that, you could send an email that goes straight to our budget directory. In fact, I personally read each and every one of these emails that comes through the LA budget email address. So just looking at some of the results, actually looking at the survey responses dating back to when we first started. In the 06-07 budget survey, we had 466 responses, and we thought that was a great job for that time. We have since, as you can tell from the chart, grown to where we had over 7,000 responses this go around. So I mean, and I think that effort, neighborhood empowerment, the neighborhood councils have a lot to do with this increase. The sophistication level on the budget has tremendously increased during this time. I was just at the Woodland Hills neighborhood council meeting, and the questions being asked were very much on point. I mean, there were questions that were related to salaries, related to pensions, related to certain expenditures, related to revenues that were very much leaps and bounds from the questions that we were first getting when we started this process 5 years ago. So I believe because of these budget days, because of these surveys, there's a lot more sophistication and knowledge about the budget, city budget process with neighborhood councils. In addition to the surveys completed, there were over 2,000 open-ended comments that we received that I believe Dr. Wiseman will speak a little bit more on those after I complete this presentation here. So again, the questions that were being asked were related to spending and related to revenue. We asked questions related to the library, rec and parks, the fire department, transportation infrastructure, general administration and support, questions on the furloughs, on our capital construction projects, and on pension reform. And on the revenue side, we didn't necessarily know which revenue questions will actually lead to actual revenue proposals in the budget when we were building this survey tool. But we took some educated guesses of items that had been previously brought up either by the mayor or by the city council, which is why you saw these 4 items on there related to the parking users tax, clean water initiative, license permits and fees, and the public-private partnership for parking structures and meters. So on the first question was related to library and whether or not we should take a reduction in the library system of 10%, 20%, or no reduction at all. The majority would prefer no reductions at all, but again, part of the tool in terms of balancing was trying to balance. And it was okay if people chose not to balance at the end, but it was just the point that was trying to be made was that we need to make these tough decisions and these tough cuts, and even some of our more precious services like the libraries and recreation parks. As a matter of fact, we already know that there are some potential reductions taking place in the library soon because of the need for because there has been staff that has left through early retirement and through regular attrition, and so I mean, these are real cuts that will be happening relatively soon. Again, similar responses on the recreation and parks. Many do see recreation and parks as a core service, as kind of the bread and butter of what the municipalities should be providing. Again, 48%, close to half, wanted no reductions in recreation and parks. But another situation similar to the library where there are going to be reductions that have to be made. And in fact, again, recreation and parks has already started that process. There were, in the original, many of you know that in the mid-year financial status report, there were over 100 positions from recreation and parks that were put on the potential layoff list. And in fact, that process has begun relative to a lot of those positions. The fire department has already been operating under a reduced staffing plan, modified staffing plan, if you will, and the need to continue that plan is going to be a reality. While folks wouldn't necessarily want to increase the reductions to the fire department, there was a majority that said, well, let's just continue the modified staffing plan as it is, but let's not make any more reductions here. And our transportation